Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Oh, man. I wasn't expecting you to open the show like that.
Well, I could have kept going with my air guitar solo.
Yeah.
But I chose not to. wouldn't have worked on the audio side. But anyway, welcome everyone to the Tuesday edition of No Credentials Required, where you don't need to press pass to talk sports, although we're a little bit delayed, but that's okay. Thanks for sticking with us. We are presented by Belly Up Sports. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the hosts of my show, and one of the hosts of the show. To my right is Mike. I couldn't think of anything clever for tonight. But anyway, my co-host Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. I finally got my hair cut because I know it's a running joke on the show. People make comments about my hair. It's a thing. I'm here with it, but I feel better now that my hair is cut. I don't like it when it's longer because it's too much to style it. I got to put so much in there. And then I just feel like I can't wrangle it in. It's like a wild animal. I got to tame it. It's like the grass in upstate New York, Ryan, at this time of year where you get so much rain, you got to take the windows when you can get them.
It's true. I got my lawn mowed today. That's why we're delayed. That's part of the reason why we're delayed, because I had to mow my lawn. We're expecting some more rain this week. After starting tomorrow through Saturday, and it's getting grass is getting long. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna mow the lawn today. We'll delay the podcast, which is fine. I gotta make dinner, which I did. So I had chicken and Cheetos tonight. What a meal!
Chicken and Cheetos, what a combo! I had chicken as well. I had a chicken, like a chicken taco type deal with a little bit of sliced onion on top and some homemade salsa.
Awesome. I can't have salsa right now because
yes. Yeah. We'll keep that for the green room.
Yeah, we'll keep that for the green room. Hopefully I'm not loopy on Saturday's show.
Yeah. Hey, Saturday's show could be awesome.
Saturday's show could be an all-timer. But before we start up with tonight's topics, and tonight's topics are as follows: curse sports franchises, WNBA. Yes, we're talking more WNBA on No Credentials Required. So Dustin's niece, Addison, take a listen. We're talking WNBA. We're going to talk about the NFL. The owners have approved the participation of players in the Olympics in 2028 for flag football. We've got thoughts. We're also going to finally update you on the race for the wooden spoon, and we'll talk about our favorite athletes to wear the number 36, because this is the 36th installment this year of No Credentials Required. Technically it's 37, but that's non-canonical. But in the meantime, we just want to remind you folks to please follow us on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Just search for No Credentials Required. Follow us on there. And also check out our other podcasts and articles on bellyupsports.com. On the podcast side, subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And that includes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, and also our YouTube page. And also don't forget to get notified. Hit that notification bell on Twitter and on YouTube. That way you know when the show goes live. That way you know. And then my cat, you probably heard that. It's tag along.
He made it through the noise gate.
Yes, he is. The show mascot is mad that the door is closed. But anyway, you hit that notification bell on Twitter and on YouTube. That way you know when we have show announcements, when we go live, when we have videos up of the show clips, because this will be replayed on Belly Up Sports on their YouTube channel tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern. We got some comments rolling in already, which will remind you, rate and review, 5-star rating on the podcast side, 5-star rating, leave a review. We'll even read it on the air. And also on the Spotify, you can leave us a comment. And because, again, we're a live show on Tuesdays and on Saturday mornings, we do have live comments in the comment section. And Dustin, I know we're a little bit late, but this is always, this chime, this is always on time.
It's
and you know what time it is?
Time.
It certainly is chime time. I need like a train. Choo choo! It's chime time. And we do have some comments in the comment section. Julie from Michigan, you missed out on Dustin's thoughts on what game he's going to be watching in Week 3 on Monday Night Football in 2025 for the NFL. So go back in the archives and listen to that. But she says, "Hello, gentlemen." Kevin Wilson, who always joins us on Saturdays and Friday and some Fridays to talk baseball with us. He says, "Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening to you, Mr. Wilson. We appreciate you tuning in." But we're going to start this episode on a and D's Ray Sunshine saying, "Hey guys, hope you had a great day." Yeah, it was a sunny day in New York for a change. It was a beautiful day, a little cool, but a beautiful day nonetheless. We'll take them as they come because it's spring.
Yes.
Although in a month we'll be complaining because it's gonna be swamp ass hot outside.
Oh, I won't. That just means I gotta wait till the evening to sit on my patio to maybe have a little cigar.
Ooh.
I still have to figure out what to do with my Claps picnic table for those who have been following along.
Yeah, it's been too rainy for you to go outside and try to fix it.
Yeah, I think that.
Leave a comment. What should Dustin do with his collapsed picnic table?
I think it's getting cut up. I think I gotta make a new purchase.
And D's Ray Sunshine saying it's already hot here. She lives in the South, and she has it's hot down there.
Yeah.
When I was in Atlanta last month, it was 85. I think 85 or 86 degrees on the day of my friend's wedding. It was pretty. Yeah, and then the rest of the weekend was like in the 60s. So go figure. Spring in the South. But we're going to start. Tonight's program on a somber note because this afternoon we learned that George Wendt, the great sitcom actor who played Norm Peterson on Cheers. If you see it in my headline, it says R.I.P. Norm. Rest in peace, Norm Peterson.
Yeah.
George Wendt passed away at the age of 76. Was most notably played Norm Peterson on the great sitcom Cheers. Was a part of my Thursday nights growing up. 9:00 Eastern time. Back in the day, NBC had the great sitcoms on Thursday night. Always the Cosby Show, Different World, Cheers. I think Frasier. After Cheers, and then Frasier joined the Thursday night lineup. Seinfeld.
Yeah, Seinfeld was Thursday nights. Yeah,
Thursday nights. Must-see TV. Must-see TV. NBC. All the sitcoms, all the great sitcoms that came in the 1980s and 1990s on NBC. Cheers was part of that lineup. And yes, Mr. Wilson, gone way too soon. Yes, passed away at 76 years old. George Wendt. And we're kind of making it a mini happy hour tonight on No Credentials Required. Because I wanted to have a beer. I wanted to toast Mr. Wendt. I had myself I had Treehouse last time on our happy hour on Friday. Of course, I'm going to have Treehouse again, the Pizzeria Pills, because on that show, if you noticed on Cheers, they would always drink like a lager or a Pilsner beer. And if I remember I remember the trick that they had was that all the beers were that they put salt in them to kind of I don't know if they tried to make them not. They tried to make them not drink as much beer as you usually should at a bar. So what they did was they put salt in the beer, so it gets salty. So they only take little sips instead of just big chugs. So that's what they usually drank on Cheers. And Norm had his corner corner seat at the bar, had his corner stool. Always sat with Cliff Clavin, and a little bit later, I think it was, I can't remember his name. He was the guy, Paul Wilson. He was the guy who always got left out of everything or would date complete dimes, and he was this dumpy, frumpy dude. And Rhea Perlman's father was on that show. He was the gentleman in the back. He was the elderly gentleman in the back. If you saw him in the background, he was an extra, but occasionally he would have lines. So that's what I'm doing tonight. I mean, he was in other sitcoms too. I know he was on a show on Fox Nation with John Ratzenberger and I want to say Jim Belushi and Dan Aykroyd. I can't remember the name of the show because it was behind a paywall.
Okay.
He was on a show with them. So, but I'm looking up George Wendt's credits on IMDb. But he was super fans on Saturday Night Live. One of the super fans.
Oh yeah, that's
SNL.
right. That's
Bob Swirsky. Look at the Bob Swirsky's super fans.
He was also on Seinfeld. He did a guest spot on there as himself, if memory serves. Because George has this thing with George Wendt. My Seinfeld knowledge still good, but it's not like encyclopedic like it used to be. But he was on that, and he also was on, I believe, if memory serves. Now, I might be wrong about that, but I thought he was on an episode of Matlock again as himself. Because there was like this guest star episode with like Jason Bateman and all these people because a fictional producer was killed on Matlock, and old Benjamin Matlock had to figure out who done it. So
yeah, he's been on other shows. He was on the Goldbergs for an episode. He was on Hot in Cleveland, which was a Nick at Night staple for very long time. He was also a voice on Family Guy as Norm Peterson.
Okay.
Trying to think of what other notable shows that he was on. Of course, Bob Swirsky's. He was Bob Swirsky on Saturday Night Live, part of the super fans. But yes, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. He was on that show. He made an appearance on Frasier.
Okay,
in 2002. Yep.
What about was he on Curb ever? Curb Your Enthusiasm. I'm not sure.
No, he was not.
Okay, all right.
But he was also the star of the short-lived series, the George Wendt Show as George Coleman.
Oh, okay.
6 episodes.
All right. I don't remember that one, but I didn't watch Cheers as much as you did, Ryan, because you're just a touch older than me. But I'll tell you who loved Cheers. My father.
Yeah.
I think if you asked my father, he probably can't say as much now for reasons. But if you had asked him a few short years ago, Dad, what's your favorite TV show? He would either say Taxi, Cheers, or MASH. I'm pretty confident. And I think Taxi and Cheers would duke it out. Yep. Cheers made my father laugh like few shows could. That's what I remember. And to this day, greatest theme song. And I don't know about you, Ryan, but I feel like everybody wanted to go to a bar like the bar in Cheers, you know?
Absolutely. And we're paying tribute to George Wendt with a beer for ourselves. Dustin, I know you got your beer.
I do.
I thought when you started sipping out of it, I thought it was an actual can of Schlitz. I'm like, wow, you're going old school.
Yeah. It is not. It is. If you watch the happy hour episode or listen to the happy hour episode, it is another can of the Planet 4 red ale, but I poured it in the old Schlitz glass because it felt right. It felt right to tribute Mr. Wendt himself. And Ryan, this one surprised me because George Wendt always kind of, he he didn't really age that much.
No, he didn't.
I remember him looking the same as he did when we were younger. And as a result of that, I think he's just one of those people you thought would be around forever.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's to you, Mr. Wendt. Thank you. We'll see you. We'll see you in the big bar stool in the sky. All right. Got some more comments in the comments section. People are paying tribute to George Wendt. D's Ray Sunshine saying, "Art, rest in peace, Norm." She also says, "Where everybody knows your name." Yes.
Yes.
I mean, there are memorable sitcom theme songs, but Cheers stands out.
Yes,
everybody knows it. Everybody knows it.
Yes, it does. As far as instrumentals, I give the edge to the Rockford Files. But for songs with lyrics, Cheers, man. Cheers. I mean, it's so good.
I mean, the theme from Friends rivals it. And I don't know if you ever saw the show with Chris Elliott. It was in the 90s. I watched it as a sophomore in high school called Get a Life. The theme song was Stand by REM.
All right. That because I like REM, so that might take the crown, but I am not giving the crown to the Rembrandts. I'm sorry, Friends fans. I'm sorry.
And of course, The Simpsons, which is a great instrumental too.
Oh yeah, that one's awesome. But I'm serious, Rockford Files. If you haven't listened to the theme in a while, go check it out. It's a banger.
Hey, Doctor Who theme, man, is a banger too.
All right. I'll give you that one.
Mr. Kevin Wilson saying, "I can participate this time. How about a blue moon?"
Drop an orange slice in there, Kevin. Get after it.
It's all right. The pink can of Sapna has shown up in the comments. Sports ball. And Sick Diggy joining us from Norway. Rest in peace, George Wendt. Absolutely. So we figured we start the show off with the tribute to an actor who, yes, has left us sooner than we thought he would. I was thinking about him the other day too. I'm like, man, I haven't seen him in anything in a while. So, but I guess I was looking at his IMDb credits, and he did some voiceovers on some podcasts. I'll have to check those out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna move on to the next topic of discussion, which is the title of this podcast: which sports franchise is the most cursed? Now, this is coming off the heels of the Toronto Maple Leafs dropping absolutely dropping Game 7 of their playoff matchup with the Florida Panthers. They were absolutely beaten down in games 4 and 5. They shut out Florida in Sunrise in Game 6 long enough to bring their fans back in. And to be fair, in Game 7, the first period, they did okay. They kind of got off to a flat start, but starting to improve in the final stages of the period. And then before you could say what the hell, Florida Panthers dropped 3 goals on them in the second period. Gave their fans a little bit of a glimpse of light, gave them a little bit of hope when Max Domi scored, and then in the third period, and then 54 seconds later, Florida puts one back up on the board, and after that, they just cruised. And you saw fans, if you watched the game, you saw fans throwing jerseys on the ice, throwing beer on the ice. Why you want to do that? It's a waste of good $20 of beer.
Yeah.
And I was watching, and I'm starting to get into. There's a very famous Maple Leafs fan who's been running a YouTube channel for like 15 years, and all he talks about is the Toronto Maple Leafs. His name is Steve Dangle, and I watched his reaction, and he always starts and it's whenever the Maple Leafs are eliminated, he's been starting out his episodes with, "Well, we're here again. You know why you're here. I know why I'm here." It's to see the Maple Leafs fan absolutely lose it. And yeah, they're gone. And it was weird. I don't know about you, but it was a little weird last night. There was no NBA games and there's no Stanley Cup playoff games.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with myself.
I am getting ready to do something very stupid this weekend. I'm going to try to row 70 miles. So I was down rowing a little bit I have not trained to the degree that I should have for this. So I'll be checking in with people just so that they know I'm alive. But you're right. Like, that's why, because I was like, I feel like there's something I'm supposed to do. And I was like, well, I should go down and row. But this is the first time in a while that there's been nothing sports related on really to watch. And even it was kind of because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't even believe the Yankees were on last night. I think their series with the Rangers starts tonight.
They had the night off.
So
a rare night off for our Yankees.
Yeah, yeah.
Coming off the rubber match of the Subway Series, which, by the way, a certain former Yankee went 2 for 10 in that entire series. So,
and he also got in trouble for admiring a single. But
yep.
But it was a very strange night because we've gotten so accustomed to hockey, basketball, both or one being on, and also a plethora of baseball games. So it was just a strange night. Yeah, it was a little different.
Yeah. So this got me thinking. I'm watching Steve Dangle, watching friend of the show, Travis Ridgen, watching his podcast, Slanging the Biscuit, with his co-host. His name escapes me for the moment, but I guess he's a big radio host in Winnipeg. I'll think of it. I'll do the real-time research and give him credit. But it's got me thinking. And Dustin and I were texting this afternoon off show. I said, and I thought about doing a rant on Toronto, but I'm like, you know what? The Maple Leafs, but I said, you know what? I'm not going to do it. I've seen enough of them. People have had their say. We've had 24 hours. People have had 24 hours to mourn, to get their feels out. And yeah, I'm not gonna dogpile. That's not right for me to dogpile because I'm not a fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I've expressed my disdain for them on this show because going back to 2000.
Yeah.
But it's got me thinking about the most cursed franchises in professional sports. The Toronto Maple Leafs are definitely up there.
They're up there, yeah. They're up there because the thing is, they're a large market team. They're like a larger market team, and they're one of the teams in hockey. Like, a lot of hockey fans, if you don't love the Toronto Maple Leafs, you despise the Toronto Maple Leafs because people view them. And the thing is, their fans have expectations every year, as they should, usually, because that's the cursed thing about the Leafs is they're usually good enough to give their fans hope every single season. And I'm sorry in advance, Leafs fans. I know it's already tough, but you know what they remind me of, Ryan, and they are not my pick for the most cursed sports franchise, but they remind me of the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are good enough, usually. We all remember the 90s heyday of the Cowboys. The Cowboys fans will be the first to remind you of it, but they haven't done anything since the 90s heyday, and they haven't been able to get to the Super Bowl. But every year, they do enough to get their fans hoping, and then Cowboy fans will start chirping. And then their hearts get ripped out every year. And that's what it feels like is happening with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I say this as an Oilers fan. Edmonton, there have been years where you knew the team was going to be bad. You had no expectations. And that's hard enough, but it's almost worse to be in the position that the Toronto Maple Leafs are in because every year they have expectations. Every year.
Yeah, and we got some comments coming in the comments section. D's Ray Sunshine saying Toronto broke their hockey sticks. They may need new ones. Yeah. She's also in shock about you dissing Friends fans.
I'm not necessarily dissing Friends fans. I never got into it. I'm not giving the crown to the Rembrandts for the best theme song. I'm not doing it.
She also says we'll have a search and rescue team ready for you, Dustin. I'll update the people on the socials just to let people know how Dustin is doing. All right.
Yeah.
Let's say Dustin texted me about half an hour ago. He's at 35 miles. He just pooped his pants. He's good to go. He's all right, but he's alive. She also asked, Cubs cursed? No. Cubs aren't cursed because they broke their curse in 2016.
Yes.
And they've been doing okay ever since. In fact, they're currently in first place in the National League Central, albeit by one game because the St. Louis Cardinals have been on a heater
Yes,
over
they
the
have.
last month. And she also asked Atlanta Falcons. Solid choice for a cursed franchise. I mean,
yeah.
I have 28 reasons why they couldn't be, but I have 3 reasons why they could be.
Yeah, that's a kick in the teeth.
I'm sorry to my new friends in Atlanta. I had to bring up, but they know. They know.
Yeah.
They understand Atlanta sports primarily are not great. But let's talk about some of the other teams we thought of, Dustin. Let's start with you. Like, what do you mentioned your Oilers to an extent. I mean, they've had some success.
Yeah,
they've had won a Stanley Cup since 1990, but they had all those cups in the 1980s.
Yes.
Yes,
they've had, and I don't count them because they got to Game 7 in 2006. I don't count my Dallas Mavericks because they did finally win a title.
They also got to Game 7 last year, came back from 3-0 down to force a Game 7.
Yes, that's right. How could I forget? I probably blacked out because I was I just didn't expect them to come back. When they went down 3-0, Ryan, I'm like, this series is over. But they came back. But yes, so they've had too much recent success. You can't count them. For me, it's got to be teams. And I guess some of the other teams I thought of, you had put up there. I hope I'm not revealing it, but the football team that you are a fan of, you threw them out as
how dare you
as a pick.
I did. To be fair, I did.
Yeah. So there's a couple teams, but there's teams and you could make an argument for the Dallas Cowboys, but they're too.
Yeah,
they're too well known.
They have 5. They're the first of 5 Super Bowls. No, I don't count them as cursed.
You can't. You would have to do the recency. But
and you can't count them as cursed because of their incompetent ownership.
Yeah,
who's also the GM.
That's not their fault. Usually to be cursed, it has to be a team that gets close, and there has to be a little bit of success. You threw out the former Cleveland Indians / Guardians, which they have been in the running in recent years for their division. And I remember when they beat the New York Yankees in the 90s, I'm probably still bitter about it. And
1997.
They had those good teams with like Kenny Lofton and Manny Ramirez. And they had some teams back in the day. And I always rooted for Dennis Martinez. I remember in that World Series, Indians Braves at the time, I was rooting for the Indians because I wanted Dennis Martinez to do it. But really, to me, the more I thought about it, because you could also, recent success aside, you could make an argument for the New York Knicks. There has been a lot of heartbreak, but I think Knicks fans resigned themselves to there's no success. As long as we have our owner, there's no success. And they're turning it around, and I'll be rooting for them. But to me, it's one finalist. And we have some great comments, but I'm going to let you address those. But to me, it's the Cleveland Browns. And astute detectives may have noticed I put in my headline, "Sorry, Drew Carey," because that show famously takes place in Cleveland, and the show Cleveland rocks. When it comes to the case,
with the crimson lips go Cleveland rocks. Shout out to the President of the United States of America for that theme song.
Yes, they're a great band. Yeah.
Yes.
But to me, the Cleveland Browns, if you look at first of all, their franchise got moved by an owner. They had a lot of early success, okay, but that wasn't even in the Super Bowl era, so you can't count that, in my opinion. And then they had that run when Marty Schottenheimer was the coach, and they had Ernest Biner. They had that thing go on. They had
Kozar,
yes,
all those guys,
and they had Elway ripped out their hearts in that, and they couldn't get it done with Marty Schottenheimer. And then you had the season where a young upstart coach named Bill Belichick was hired to coach the Browns, and they were on their way. You could see the pieces falling into place. He had a young, great staff with a lot of former and future NFL coaches and college coaches on it, and GMs too. I think, the mix of talent in that room, we didn't know what it was going to be at the time. But what was that, 94, Ryan? Was that 94 when Belichick, or 95, I think Belichick?
It was 95 when they announced that Art Modell announced they were moving the franchise to Cleveland. And yes, Desiree Sunshine, Nick Saban was on that staff as the defensive coordinator.
Yes, he was. And I appreciate you keeping the Bama going. I'm impressed by how long you're able to do it.
She's got too much Bama in her, man.
Yeah. But that's why. And then you talk about they got moved. They didn't have a franchise for a couple of years, and then they've come back. They came back in 1999.
Yep.
And the fans were so happy. And since then, they had not been able to do anything right, from drafting Tim Couch first overall on their inaugural season back in the NFL, all the way up to they finally start having success with Nick Chubb and Baker Mayfield on the roster. Nick Chubb gets hurt and has to do an amazing rehabilitation to come back from injury. And they run Baker Mayfield out of town because of a shoulder injury. And then look what he's doing in Tampa Bay right now, to say nothing of the Deshaun Watson signing. This has transcended, and it's not just the same head coach and same GM. This has transcended. They've brought in different head coaches. They brought in Eric Mangini. They brought in Romeo Cornell. They kept going back to that Belichick tree. This has transcended many, many different coaches, many, many different GMs. They brought in Mike Holmgren to be their quote unquote football czar. That didn't work. Anything Cleveland has tried, they have not been able to do it. And that's why I am picking the Cleveland Browns as the most cursed sports franchise.
Solid pick. We've got some more comments in the comments section. Sick saying the Cleveland Guardians or current Browns. Dustin just pulled up on that point.
The current Browns. Also, Kellen Winslow Jr. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Oof.
Just so they bad draft picks, bad trades, so many things for the poor Cleveland Browns fans.
Desiree Sunshine saying Buffalo.
Thought about it.
Well, hold on. She says Buffalo, but she didn't specify the Bills or the Sabres.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's a good question, actually.
It could be either or.
It could be, but the Bills, to me, the football Bills, I discounted them because of their recent success. Again, I mean, getting to 4 Super Bowls and losing them all, that's a tough pill to swallow for sure.
She also says New York Jets. I'm going to build my case in just a moment. Sick saying the Charlotte Hornets. True.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And they had their tenure as.
Now, go ahead. Finish your thought. Sorry.
No, it was just they had they got moved to, what was it, New Orleans, and then they had the Charlotte Bobcats. Never really got it going under that moniker.
Nope. And then they were allowed to change their name back to the Hornets, the Pelicans. Now the Pelicans give it back to Charlotte. Michael Jordan became majority owner of that team. Now he owns a small stick in the team.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, pop quiz for you, Dustin. Since 1999, how many different starting quarterbacks have the Cleveland Browns had?
Oh, geez. All right. For the Browns, you got Tim Couch. You got Kelly. I can't remember. Kelly Holcomb. You got, oh, man, so many. I'm going to say since 1999. How many years ago was 1999? I should know this. 26. All right. I'm going to say the Browns have had 32 starting quarterbacks.
You're close. 40.
Oh, man. I almost said 40, but I'm like, that's too high. That's too high.
And I'm going to name them all.
All right. Yeah.
Tim Couch, Ty Detmer, Doug Peterson, Spurgeon Wynn, Kelly Holcomb, Jeff Garcia, Luke McCown, Trent Dilfer, Charlie Fry, Derek Anderson, Brady Quinn, Ken Dorsey, Bruce Gradkowski, Colt McCoy, Jake Delhomme, Seneca Wallace,
Former Seahawks Seneca Wallace,
Brandon Whedon, Thad Lewis,
oh yeah,
Jason Campbell, Brian Hoyer, Johnny Manziel, Connor Shaw, Josh McCown, Austin Davis. Did I say Josh McCown before? No, I didn't.
You just said Josh McCown. I think he had multiple. Did he have multiple tenure with the team though? I don't know.
No, I said Colt McCoy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So Brian Hoyer, Johnny Manziel, Connor Shaw, Josh McCown, Austin Davis, Cody Kessler, RG3, Deshaun Kaiser. Wow, that's a name you haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah.
Kevin Hogan, Baker Mayfield, Tyrod Taylor, Case Keenum, Nick Mullins, Jacoby Brissett, Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, PJ Walker, Jeff Driscoll, Jameis Winston, and Bailey Zappi.
Yeah.
And they have five quarterbacks in their quarterback room going into this season.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco, Deshaun Watson,
Shadur Sanders. Who's the other kid they drafted?
Dylan Gabriel.
Yep.
And I can't remember the fifth one. We talked about them too.
It's not Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
No, Dorian Thompson. They traded Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I believe. Kenny Pickett.
Oh, yeah. Kenny Pickett.
Acquired from the Eagles.
Yep, the Eagles, man.
All right. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. Wasn't Brandon Whedon like one of the oldest drafted quarterback? Like when he came out, wasn't he like he was up there? He was up there, but I'm eager to hear you build your case, Ryan, because I have a feeling I know where you're going.
Yeah, Brandon Whedon is at current age 41 years old.
Yeah. Hey, Brandon, shout out to you, buddy.
Yeah, good job, buddy. We appreciate you, even if the NFL didn't. Yeah, so I actually wrote an article back in 2021. 4 reasons why the New York Jets are cursed. I'll link it in the description. And this was after Thursday night when they went to Indianapolis, coming off that incredible win against the Cincinnati Bengals, where they finally broke their streak of not scoring 30 points in a game since which era was it? It was the Todd Bowles era, because they didn't score 30 points in a game under Adam Gase. Never scored 30 points in the game. That offensive guru.
Yeah.
And they benched. I think this is the game that Mike White made his name known across the hearts of and minds of football fans all across the world. But that game, he broke his thumb. He broke his wrist. In the following Thursday night game in Indianapolis, and they bring in Josh Johnson, who's been with like 10 NFL teams. Crazy.
He's returned to the NFL. I think
and he's back in the NFL.
He is.
So I wrote an article on why the New York Jets are cursed, and this was based on a discussion on, at that time, the Can't Wait podcast, which had Connor Hughes with The Athletic. Now he's with SNY, and on our friend of the show. And friend of the show, Rod Peterson, discussing it on his show. And that kind of got me going on why the Jets are cursed. Reason one is because of Joe Willie Namath. I believe he sold his soul to the devil for that win in Super Bowl III. But it was mostly his defense who did all the hard work in that game. Buddy Ryan, masterful job. We love you, Buddy Ryan. Number 2, the fake spike. Dan Marino, curse his name. Under Pete Carroll, by the way. They were under Pete Carroll in that game, and then they lost every game after that game in 1994, and Pete Carroll was let go at the end of that season. And they brought in Rich Kotite for the worst 2 years, arguably, in Jets history. Reason 3, the 2 Bills, Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Reason 4, the GD butt fumble.
Yeah, that one's a tough one, yeah.
They have not been in the playoffs since 2010. They have been except for 2015, they have been nowhere near the playoffs. And this very program in 2023 or 2024, excuse me, both of us said the New York Jets were built. They were built with the roster they had to possibly go to the Super Bowl and possibly win the Super Bowl. They finished 5-13, 5-12.
Yeah. And to some degree they had to restructure the team. How much did Aaron Rodgers really have to do with that? You could debate that all day. But yeah, I don't know. And how often, Ryan, because I still think about it sometimes, and I'm not even a Jets fan, but you could go back through the things. You had all that success with the New York sack exchange, but they couldn't keep it together. Then you had Dennis Byrd getting paralyzed, and you had, but Nate Kading hit that field goal as the kicker for the Chargers to advance past the Jets. That, if memory serves, Ryan, was that the closest they've been in recent memory? I'm trying to remember, because what was that?
2009, 2010.
Yeah.
But in 2009, they were up after the first half on Peyton Manning and the Colts. They were up 17-13 at halftime. After Mark Sanchez found Brandon Marshall wide open to take the lead at the half, and then they didn't score a point after that. Then Pittsburgh, 2010, they were down 24-3 at the half, and they clawed all the way back in the second half, did not allow a single point to the Steelers in the second half, and got within 5. And if it weren't for Ben Roethlisberger completing a pass on 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 5 with less than 2 minutes left, if this defense had stopped, Ben Roethlisberger didn't throw that pass to Antonio Brown to seal the game, they would have gotten the ball back. I think they would have scored and taken the lead and went to the Super Bowl to face the Packers.
Oh, okay. That was the Packers game. Okay.
That was the Packers Super Bowl, because next week, 2 weeks later, it was Pittsburgh, Green Bay, and Dallas, and that cursed Super Bowl where Charles Woodson tore his pec. And he was the best defensive player on that Packers team that season. So, but they still won the Super Bowl. They won by 11, I want to say, in that game. But yeah, that's the closest the Jets have been in the Super Bowl in my lifetime. Actually, it's been 4 times. 82 against Miami, 98 against Denver, where they had the lead after the blocked punt by Chad Cascadden. Take the lead into the locker room in Denver, and then they didn't score a point after that.
They advanced wrongly past my Seahawks that year, though.
They faced the Jags.
Oh, okay.
They played the Jaguars in the divisional.
Okay. When was that Seahawks Jets Testaverde game then? I can't remember. I'm trying to remember. Dennis Erickson was coaching the Seahawks back then, I believe.
That might have been 98.
Yeah, that's what I thought. 98, somewhere around there.
That was when the Jets they won I think they won 9 out of the last 10 games that year.
Okay.
And
they were on fire.
And they were on fire. And they could have played the Atlanta Falcons that year, but unfortunately John Elway, team of destiny. Before we do our quick ad read, D-Sway Sunshine saying, I would have said the Saints because, by the way, if they didn't have that Super Bowl. That's true.
Yeah, that Super Bowl did a lot to exercise their demons, for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to talk about, real quick, our new affiliate sponsor at No Credentials Required. It's Fanatics. No matter where you watch, the stadium, the couch, or the watch party, one thing unites all fans, the gear. At Fanatics, we've got your team, your passion, your game day. Official jerseys, exclusive drops, and the freshest fan fits from kickoff to buzzer beater, from puck drop to walk-off. Thousands of styles, one destination, all Fanatics. Fanatics, the ultimate fan shop. And I got to tell you, Dustin, I didn't use our affiliate link because I didn't think to get one until afterwards. But I did get my Utah Mammoth shirt in the mail today. It's in the wash. I'm going to debut it on Saturday's show.
Oh, awesome. Kevin will be happy.
And it's a great, I try, as soon as I got it in the mail, I tried it on. It fits great. It's a great fit. I don't know how it's going to do in the wash, whether it shrinks more, but I'm going to make sure I take it out of the wash after I wash it, let it air dry, and then put it in the dryer to finish it off. But it's a great shirt by Fanatics. Great. The last couple of shirts I've gotten are from Fanatics. Like my New Jersey Devils shirt that I wear, which I got in New Jersey at the New Jersey Devils game, that's a Fanatics item.
Nice.
So Fanatics, like, taking out all the leagues, NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, and also even the National Lacrosse League. So get some National Lacrosse League gear if you're an Albany Firewolves fan. Hopefully next year I'll be able to cover the team again. I took a year off for some personal. I took a year off of covering it for personal enrichment. Let's just say. But Fanatics link, our affiliate link is in the description. We get a little bit from every order that you order from. So use our link in the description at their affiliate link. Support our show by talking about using our affiliate link for Fanatics. All right, breaking news. Well, let's say breaking news, but news came out this afternoon. The NFL, National Football League, the NFLPA had ratified this and gave them the thumbs up for this, but the NFL owner, which would go to the NFL owners, they voted surprisingly unanimously to approve their players. All NFL players are eligible, whether they play for the United States, Canada, or any other nation that qualifies to play flag football in Los Angeles in during the 2028 games. Now we've got some new sports coming. We got some new sports being incorporated this year in this Olympics coming up in the summer games. Flag football is one of them. 7-on-7 lacrosse is one of them, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Get to see some of the National Lacrosse League and Premier Lacrosse League stars, which, by the way, PLL is coming to Albany next weekend. I'm hoping to go to a couple of games. The New York Atlas is playing. I guess they're. I want to say they're kind of making their home base in Albany, which is pretty cool. So it's not only just, it's not only the Firebirds, the Firewolves, the Tri-City Valley Cats, but now the New York Atlas has kind of made their home base Albany, which is pretty cool.
Follow their lead, Rebecca Lobo.
Yeah, that's right, Rebecca Lobo. Follow their lead. But let's talk about the NFL approving their players for flag football in 2028. Dustin, I've actually got in our archives on the 10 good minutes. I talked about this with Josh Mahler back in October 2023. That's how far ahead of the curve we were in terms of the NFL participating in flag football. But I want to get your thoughts. Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? What's your thoughts on the NFL approving flag football in 2028?
Well, I have two mind of it, and these are just my quick, rapid reaction thoughts. Me say something quick, I know, shocker, everybody. But I will say that first, I thought I'm a little shocked that the owners unanimously approved this. That not one of them said no, because I could see owners think in terms of contracts and player, and I would think they'd be like, well, what if a player gets injured during this flag football? What's that going to mean for our team? What's that going to mean for his contract status and negotiations and all these other things? But overall, I think it's a good thing. This is a new sport debuting at the Olympics, and I think a lot of people, when you get the opportunity to represent your country, a lot of athletes are going to want to do this, and I think that is a big reason why the owners probably approve this. And I'll be tuning into flag football where it would have been debatable if I was going to tune into it before. I think it's going to be something I'm going to want to watch now because I'm going to want to see, I know 2028 is a little bit away, but Tyreek Hill, he says he's widely considered one of the fastest men in the NFL. I want to see how fast he can run, when nobody's going to tackle him. I want to see how fast these NFL players can sprint out there. And also I'll be interested to see what the talent gap is, because what are other countries going to bring to the table? Will they get players from perhaps I don't watch enough UFL to know, but maybe they get some UFL players or things like that, because NFL Europe doesn't exist anymore. So it'll be interesting to see, but to me, it brings another level of interest. I'm in favor of it, I think, but I'm also surprised that the owners unanimously approved this.
I'm surprised too. Actually, I want to speak to Jerry Jones real quick. Now, Jerry, usually you're the contrarian when it comes to this type of thing. What made you change your mind and vote yes for the NFL owners approving flag football in 2028?
I was promised extra hot dogs during the Olympics if I acquiesced.
Are you going to bring in any of your Arkansas Razorbacks for these games?
Yes, I have been in talks. Jimmy Johnson and I are going to bury the hatchet, and we're going to travel together. And I've called Quincy Carter. He is going to come out of retirement and be the quarterback's coach for our squad in 2028.
Well, there is concern that you may not be alive long enough to be at the Olympics. You're 82 years old currently. You'll be 85. Actually, nobody. You'll be 84 at the time. What's your secret for your longevity?
I have slowly been depleting the life from my sons and putting it back into me. Fear not, I will be there.
Well, I guess all that salt on your Egg McMuffin has no effect on your aging. Mr. Jones, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you.
Anytime.
Go Razorbacks. Think shoving into the commercial, because if I don't read it, he'll give me get apoplectic. He says you have apoplexy. The good hair day of Dustin Henry is brought to you by Chicken Wing James Hair Plugs, brand new line of hair gels and mousse from spiky, frosted tips or slick back. Claim your style.
I know that brand is fully endorsed by Mark McGrath of Sugar Ray.
Good old Frosty Tips McGrath.
Yeah.
So we've had Dustin chime. Oh, wait, hang on. And Manly Beard's brand new trimmers. Manly Beard, keep it manly, keep it bearded. Okay, so back to our regular scheduled nonsense. I'm okay with this because I was listening to our friend of the show, Rod. Watch your feet. I'm going to drop some names. Friend of the show, Rod Peterson, was talking about this last week about the NFLPA saying, get the go ahead from us for 2028. Now it's the CFL. Now you have to wonder what other leagues out there in the world are going to say, okay, we're going to send our best and brightest over to the CFL. They got to think about this. The pro leagues in Japan, the European League of Football also has to consider who to bring because it's gonna. I don't think it's going to interrupt their schedule because. For the NFL, it's perfect timing.
Yeah, because it's in the off season.
It's the dates for the Olympics are from July 14th to July 30th, 2028. So right as training camps are beginning, the Olympic Games are ending. So I have a feeling like probably, if they get the approval, they're going to start the flag football tournament pretty much day 2. And then run it through like day 9, day 10. Because the big events that happen at the end of the Olympics are men's and women's basketball. That's been the big event for gold medal games and the marathon. But, unless you're a running enthusiast, nobody's really paying attention to the marathon. But the marathon is usually the last event of the Olympic Games. But I think with the NFL, they've timed this perfectly. And they said, you know what? We're going to send, now I don't know how many athletes are going to be in the rosters. We'll have to find that out once we get closer to the Olympics and who the NFL is who the United States of America, USA Football is going to send for their best and brightest. But if it's like a roster of 20, because you're going to have 7 aside if I'm not mistaken. But I'll double check the rules for flag football. But it's now you've got the CFL, the Canadian Football League. You're saying to them, all right, we made our move. Now it's your turn. I don't know if they're going to have to interrupt their season. Same with the X League. Same with the X League in Japan. Same with the European League of Football. Their season ramps up pretty soon, if I'm not mistaken. So you get other leagues have to consider who they're going to send for their athletes. And we also need to find out who's going to qualify for the flag football section of the Olympics, because this is primarily I wouldn't say it's a demonstration sport, but we'll see if there's going to be if this is going to be in the future for Olympic Games in 2032 and onward.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and you brought up a great point about the CFL season because you know a lot about the CFL, and you're going to be getting into it very shortly with friend of the show, Drew Willingham, on Total Football Talk.
Yeah, we're still working on a schedule or a recording schedule for Drew, for what's best for Drew. I don't know if I'll be taking the reins, but we'll find out. It's his show, it's his product, so he's got the recording. Sixing, defending himself. Like, actually, I wouldn't get an aneurysm if I don't read the ads, but rather I might have someone Uncle Foot for all time's sake. This is a joke on the Snowman show. Uncle Foot is referred to. Lori Lightfoot, former Chicago mayor, is referred to as Uncle Foot.
Oh man!
Shout out to Chris Bass. We'll have to bring him on the show. Chris Bass is an awesome dude.
Yeah.
He's hysterical. He's a Chicago public radio legend. So, and he's got stories that will make your eyes turn white. But he's a good guy. He knows sports. He's been on Drew's program. He's been on Drew's In or Out Sports Debate like we have in the past. So he's been on there. He's been on Snowman Show a bunch of times. I'll have to see if I can drag him on a show. He usually has a show on Saturdays, so he probably conflict with our schedule.
Yes,
but I'll probably bring him on Tuesday. Let's see if he's interested in reviewing a movie with us for No Ticket Required, which begins next Tuesday.
Yes.
All right. We're going to move on to the WNBA. Yes, the WNBA. And if you missed it on Saturday, it was opening weekend in the WNBA, with the biggest game being the Indiana Fever featuring Caitlin Clark and the Chicago Sky featuring Angel Reese. And there were a couple incidents of rough-ish play during that game. Sophie Cunningham got thrown to the floor. But the biggest play was Caitlin Clark allegedly, and I don't know if this got taken off the board, committed a flagrant foul on Angel Reese. I won't show the video because I don't want to get a copyright strike. But if you watch the video, it seems like it was called a flagrant foul because of the way Caitlin Clark fouled Angel Reese. Now, it's debatable whether or not it was a flagrant foul. You can definitely tell there was a little bit of an acting job, a little bit of a flop job by Angel Reese. But what you don't see is before that play occurred, it looks as if Angel Reese pushes off an Indiana Fever player to grab a rebound. And then actually you see Caitlin Clark point at the foul to the referee. Either the referee didn't see it or just thought it wasn't a foul, and then Angel Reese goes to the basket. Caitlin Clark reaches in, and Angel Reese gets up and starts jaw-jacking Caitlin Clark. Now, in this game, Angel Reese had a double-double, probably falling on the rebounds of her shots because she's not a good shooter. Let's be honest. And Caitlin Clark had a triple-double. If you didn't see, Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports put a $2,500 bet on Caitlin Clark getting a triple-double and betting money line on the Indiana Fever, and won himself $350,000.
Jeez.
Good for you, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
You're already a rich guy. But it's not so much the play itself, the foul, and the jaw-jacking afterwards. It's the media pile-on.
Yes.
That's come after this. And if you haven't seen it, RG3, Robert Griffin III, posted on Twitter that Caitlin Clark genuinely hates, Angel Reese genuinely hates Caitlin Clark. For what reasons, we don't really know. It all started back in the 2023 National Championship game when Angel Reese's LSU team played Caitlin Clark's Iowa team, soundly beat them. You see Angel Reese point to her ring finger as she's walking by Caitlin Clark, because Caitlin Clark was getting all this attention because she's a great scorer. I mean, she's the all-time leading scorer among men and women in national and in collegiate basketball for scoring. But it just seems like, Caitlin Clark was the number one pick of the Fever in 2024, followed by Angel Reese. So Robert Griffin III sends out a tweet saying that Angel Reese genuinely hates Caitlin Clark and is jealous of her. I don't know this for sure. I don't know this for sure. Like, nobody really talks about this rivalry, because it's not really a rivalry in my eyes. I mean, yeah, Angel Reese got one on Caitlin Clark in 2023, the national championship game, but ever since then, it's been Caitlin Clark having her way against teams with Angel Reese on them. So soon after that, Ryan Clark of ESPN, the four-letter network, has something to say about RG3's comments. And I can't quite catch the entire comment, but I'm paraphrasing, but had something to do with the fact that RG3's wife is white. Ryan Clark, you messed up. Never go after another man's wife, regardless of her skin color. Doesn't matter. And he seems to saying he's defending Caitlin Clark because his wife is white. It's like, whoa, dude, not cool. To which Emmanuel Acho, I think he's also of ESPN, piles on that by putting out a tweet with a video. And if I can bring it up, I'm not going to play the video, but he basically says, I'm bringing it up right now. To preface the video, he says, and I quote, this is a tweet, I'm not going to play the video. It says, "My thoughts on my friends, real Ryan Clark and RG3's feud regarding Angel and Caitlin. This video is for people that look like me. So if you don't, I apologize. Feel free to keep scrolling, or you can eavesdrop on a conversation." What?
Man.
So right now it's a one-sided rivalry. And yes, we talk about Caitlin Clark being arguably the most marketable athlete in the WNBA right now. Angel Reese is number 2, but it's not close. It's not close. But is all this piling on? I feel it's unnecessary, Dustin. I don't know about you. We're both kind of outsiders looking in. We don't really follow the WNBA in this program, although we talked about it last week with my appeal. Rebecca Lobo, you listening? Bring the sky to Albany, or bring the sun to Albany.
Yeah.
But all this piling on is like, what? Why?
Well, I think, and okay, I'm going to be, because like you said, I am not following this to the degree that that other people are. And I'm not going to act like I know a bunch about it, because I don't. I'm not here to fake, but I will say that I'll shout out Playmaker, friend of the show. I saw a clip of one of his shows, and he was asking friend of the show Cole Johnson and friend of the show Cool McCain about this. They were talking about it.
Yep.
And he said Caitlin Clark basically sent a message to the league that was like, "Hey, you played rough with me last year, so you're going to play rough with me. I'm going to play rough with you. It is what it is." She commits the foul on Angel Reese, and when asked about it after the game, so shout out, because Playmaker, he knows a bunch more about the WNBA than I do. So shout out to you. Sorry for
all three of those men.
Oh yeah, forget it.
Shooting Lights Out it's on Playmaker's blog. Check out that discussion. I tuned in. It was a very good discussion.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. But the main thing that I took away after watching that discussion, and also my own thoughts on it today, because first off, let me say that both of these women are very young. The WNBA knows exactly what they're doing, putting this game first, spotlighting this game, and the media hype around it. People are hyping up Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. These two women largely, yes, you could argue that Angel did the ring thing in 2023, but let's remember one thing. Angel Reese just turned 23. Caitlin Clark is still very in her early 20s as well. These women were in school not too long ago, okay? And both of them.
She's also 23.
Yeah, okay. So they're the same age. That's very young. And that's a lot to put on two women. And shout out to both of them, okay? Both of them. Caitlin Clark was asked about it after the game. It was the first thing she was asked about in the interview that I saw. And she said, she said, if I don't do that, Angel gets a quick 2 points. Any basketball players knows why I committed that foul. End of story.
Yep.
Angel Reese after the game said it's a basketball play. I don't and she said, let the refs got it right. Let's move on. That's all she commented on it. That's all she commented on it. So shout out to both women for just trying to move past the issue. Let's remember that they're young. Let's remember that they're dealing with a lot. Whether you and a lot of people love Caitlin Clark, I get that. And
a lot of people love Angel Reese too.
They do, and I think Angel Reese gets a lot of hate. Hey, let's all remember what we were like at times at 23 years old, and they're both just trying to play basketball. And I think the media is trying to stoke the fan the flames of something that it seems that both ladies are eager to move on from and just play.
Yeah. We live in a very, let's see, how can I put this delicately and diplomatically? We're trying to bring something into this that doesn't belong in this. And that's our skin color. Like, we're trying to pick sides based on, not only based on, primarily based on that. To which I say, stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. It doesn't belong in this conversation. What belongs in this conversation, as D said, Angel Reese actually fouled a player before that. I can't remember her name, but I think it was Howard. And Sickty said the same thing. Clark committed the foul in response to Reese forearming her teammate in the back on the back of the neck before the foul. Yeah, she pushed off the other player. That was the response. And yes, it was good for them to say, look, it's a basketball play. But for Angel Reese to get up and start jaw-jacking and want to start a fight wanted to punch Caitlin Clark in the face right after that foul, I get it. It's part of the game. It's a part of the game. It's a heat of the moment. Your adrenaline's high. Everything's running high. You want to be on your best. But after the game, cooler heads prevail. But I don't understand the piling on by RG3, by Ryan Clark especially, and by Emmanuel Acho right after that, fanning that flame by saying, hey, I got something to say about this rivalry. But if you don't have to share the same, if you don't look like me, just keep free to move on. It's like, why are you saying that? People are going to look anyway. And let me see. Somebody said something here. But yeah, Sicktiggy's saying not only is RG3 wife, is she white, but she's also Estonian and a former Olympian. Oh, and we gotta acknowledge our friend Victor Locke here, friend of the show, Victor Locke, or as we call him, he says, "Good evening, gents, and sorry for trolling. I don't know why you're trolling. It's not. You're not trolling. You're saying hi." To which I responded, "All good." And Sickty saying, "Come on, Angel. We know you more than likely can't fight. We don't know that."
Yeah, we don't know that.
But like she's definitely like one of those. She definitely reminds me of the female form of the 1989 late 1980s Detroit Pistons, the bad boys, and she's the bad girl. Like she plays that style.
I can get with that analogy because and that's the thing too. I think I'm going to wade into some waters here, but I think some of these people, I think some of the people commenting on it and commenting on the way that Angel Reese reacted, I would say, would you react the same way if Dennis Rodman did that? Or are you just are you just surprised because it's a female athlete doing it? Who knows? But I think largely we've talked about it. People are trying to make issues bigger issue out of this when both women just acknowledge it was a basketball play, and both women just want to move on. The media is doing what they do sometimes, for sure.
Yep, exactly. Let's not make it about what they look like and make it about what's on the court.
Yeah,
that's all I got to say about that. Oh Lord! All right, let's. And D's Ray Sunshine saying I give it an eye roll, maybe 2. And 6 saying if Reese is going to be a villainess in the WNBA, she should embrace all aspects of it. Either way, she needs to get her head in the game. She also needs to be a better shooter. How can we get all those rebounds? Am I lying?
No, you're not lying. You're not lying.
Women's basketball fan, drop in the comment. Am I lying?
At least she gets the rebounds, though. I will say that. At least she gets them.
I mean, you're averaging a double-double per game, but most of those doubles are coming off of your missed shots. Anyway, all right, we talked about this at the beginning of the baseball season. We have a competition every season for baseball where the winner gets gets a package of coffee from our friends at Invader Coffee. It's the race for the wooden spoon, and I've got an element, Dustin. Gonna play it right now. No Credentials Required presents the race for the wooden spoon.
Shades of Bob Shepard there. Although it sounds like something happened in the vocal booth at the end there.
Yeah.
Can't trust it. Never trust it.
Can never trust a fart. Yes, we introduced the race for the wooden spoon where we pick a team, one National League, one American League. We each pick a team, and the first team to 100 losses chosen by that person wins the competition. And according to the Major League Baseball standings, Dustin is well ahead of the pack. He picked the Colorado Rockies, who currently sit at 8-39.
Oh man, I'm sorry, Rockies fans. Nobody wants to. Man, has anybody checked on the Rockies social media person this year? Because last year the White Sox social media person, they were doing some things.
They were definitely drunk behind the laptop.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Oh man.
So in second place, currently at 19-27. My pick in the National League, the Miami Marlins. 19-27, a cool 12 games behind. Or in front, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
They are followed by the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, which is Dustin's pick for the American League. They are currently 21-25. And then I guess you could say, I don't know, you could say in the lead or at the caboose, I picked the Toronto Blue Jays. I thought they're going to have an awful season, but they're 22-24 right now.
We were both very wrong about our AL picks.
Yeah, that's great, especially since the Angels they swept the Dodgers this weekend in the rivalry weekend.
I know. Oh man.
And Sick that he's commenting on our element, saying regarding the urge to cut that stinky French cheese, stay off the chili dogs.
I love me a good chili dog.
And that has been your update for the race for the wooden spoon. No Credentials Required presents the race for the wooden spoon. I love how that fart sound comes as the guy's running the corner.
It does.
Perfect timing.
Maybe that's why he's running so fast.
He's got the running parts.
Yeah.
I've had a few of those running the base path myself in slow pitch softball. I won't lie.
Oh man,
it's not quite jet propulsion. It doesn't make you faster. Oh man! All right, our last segment of the show our favorite athletes to win at number 36. This is the segment of the show where episode 36 of 2007. I don't know why I came up with 2007. 2025. And this is episode 36. Again, the Mr. McMahon is non-canonical, so it's a bonus episode. We'll actually have a couple more bonus episodes coming up this summer. When we take our 2-week break, you'll find out when. But I'll defer to you first, Dustin. But I was going to say I was honestly stumped when I thought about number 36 because none of them came to mind except for one. But I didn't want to pick them because I know you showed your hand.
I did
in one of the last episodes. But I'll have you lead off. Go right ahead. Number 36 for you.
For me, it was one pick. Because I wasn't even sure if I was right about his number. I was second guessing myself, but it's David Cone.
Of course.
I always loved David Cone. Okay. He once pitched. He was drafted by the Royals. He pitched for the Mets. He pitched where I know him for our beloved New York Yankees. And he's announcing a lot of games for the Yankees right now, which I like. Always love to see David Cone out there. But David Cone was scrappy, man. And he was always up for the big game. And, his career stats, he's just shy of 200 wins. He's got 2,668 strikeouts. He's got a save. He just was a good pitcher, especially in the playoffs. If I remember correctly, David Cone always kind of upped his game in the playoffs, but he also provided one of my most conflicting moments as a sports fan. When he was pitching for the Boston Red Sox, he and Mike Mussina, runner up for my favorite number 35, and had the hockey playoffs not been going on when episode 35 hit, Mike Mussina, he might have got the crown, but I had to give the nod to Edmonton Oiler Tommy Salo. Go check that episode out in the archives. But Mike Mussina and David Cone were pitching an absolute duel in 2001, I believe it was. David Cone at that point pitching for the Sox and Mike Mussina pitching for my beloved Yankees, and they were both dueling and just going back and forth. And David Cone had a shot at a perfect game. It would have been his second one. And Mike Mussina, they were just dealing. And it was one of those rare moments of conflict. I was like, I'm going to be happy if David Cone does this, but only because it's David Cone, right. But I love Mike Mussina. And I was like, man, I don't know. Like, I was so torn apart watching that game. And I also, fun fact about me, I love a good pitching duel in baseball. Mm-hmm. When two pitchers are really at the top of their game, I find it almost as entertaining as an offensive explosion because I'm always wondering who's going to break first, what's going to happen. But David Cone, a huge part of the Yankees, that late 90s Yankees team and early 2000 Yankees teams. And I always had faith in David Cone that he was going to get the job done. And by all accounts, from what I've heard, great teammate. And like I said, really upped his game in the playoffs. And he was always willing to pitch on short rest or do whatever he had to do. And he's been, if I remember correctly, he's been vocal. He was a bit more of a flamethrower until he dealt with some injuries, and he kind of had to relearn how to pitch and bring himself back. And boy, did he ever. And I always remember that commercial when El Duque was taking New York by storm and everybody was imitating his leg kick. There was that commercial where El Duque's doing his dance and, his high leg kick dance in the mirror. And then David Cone is in there, and El Duque turns and he goes, "Oh, hey, Coney." And then he leaves, and you see David Cone trying to come up with his own move in the mirror. That commercial always cracked me up. Shout out to David Cone, my favorite number 36.
Yeah, so it was 1996. It was that 1996 season where he had an aneurysm and had blood clots in his arm. Or he had blood clots that dislodged and caused symptoms in his hands and fingers, and he was out for a few months. And I remember the game he came back, I think it was on 4th of July, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
If I'm not mistaken. Oh, gosh. I think it was 4th of July. because I remember, I think it was 4th of July. He was out for because my grandparents were up here, and
okay.
Game on ESPN. They were playing the Oakland A's. That was his first game back, and he carried a no-hitter into the, I think, 7th or 8th inning, and that just showed you some of the grit that he had.
And he pitched he had that perfect game in '99, I think, right? I think that was
1999 against it was okay. I'm going to tell a story about that game.
All right.
So the day before, I was at Yankee Stadium. They played the Atlanta Braves.
Oh man.
It was the swampiest of swamp-ass games. I was out in the left field stands, sun's beating down. They ran out of ice in the 2nd inning in the concessions.
Oh man.
That's how hot it was.
Oh man.
And that night we had some thunderstorms roll through. I'm pretty sure the Bronx also had some thunderstorms roll through. The next day it was absolutely perfect. And I went to Hayner's Sports Barn. I was learning how to throw baseballs. I was learning how to pitch because I wanted to play in the Midnight League in Albany. And I went down and I got a bucket of balls. You pay like $10, $5 or $10 for a bucket of balls, and you throw into the netting. And during that game was the perfect game.
Oh man.
So I missed the perfect game by 1 day.
Oh jeez.
Yeah. And that was like the odd times of baseball when they had 3-game series go from play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then have a brand new series on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That was the Expos game. That was the game he got the perfect game. I missed it by 1 day.
Oh.
But yeah, he had that aneurysm with the blood clots, which affected the feeling in his arm. And he pitched on May 2nd, then was put in the DL, had surgery, and then he was back on July 4th or Labor Day. Can't remember which day. I'll do the real time. I'll do some research later because I'm not talking about it. And he was carrying a no-hitter against the Oakland A's, who were not a bad team at that time.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't a terrible team at the time. They were starting to rise up. But he carried a no-hitter far into that game after his first game back, and pitched in the World Series. Had that all-important game where he got the win. And I remember him making a really great play in the field to prevent a run coming in. But here's the shame of it. David Cone, 5-time World Series winner, 5-time All-Star, a Cy Young Award winner when he was with the Mets.
Yep.
194 wins, 2,668 strikeouts. Not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Shame.
He should be in there. I think and people will probably argue, well, he doesn't have the wins. But his postseason play elevates him, puts him in there. Yeah. Exactly.
His stats for the postseason pitching: 12-3 all time, 7.27 winning percentage, 3.80 ERA. He had how many strikeouts
in postseason or career?
In postseason. I'm trying to find his strikeouts.
Both of us are looking.
111 and 1/3 innings pitched. Giving up only 93 hits. Baseball Reference doesn't say. 7.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. It has a whip of 1.356. So not bad for postseason.
No.
And again, it's a damn shame he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Before we get to my pick for number 36, D saying, I can't do an Alabama player this week. The only one I've seen never play down. I'm going with Shaq because he played his last year with the Boston Celtics.
Ryan asked me.
We're laughing because we discussed this in the green room because I couldn't think of a number 36 professionally until I did the research this afternoon. This is the only thing I can think of is Shaq when he wore number 36 with the Boston Celtics.
Yes. And Ryan asked me if I was going to pick it because he knows my love of Shaq, because I joked with him that I was going to pick Shaq twice, once for 32 and once for 34, but I did not do it.
She also says Mac Hereford is the Bama player I thought of. He was big on Twitter creating content for his teammates. Was he the one with the impression of Nick Saban?
Oh,
because there was this player a couple of years ago. There was this player who had a bang-on impression of Nick Saban, and he did the impression with Nick Saban in the room, and Nick Saban was just like, "I can't punish him." Oh, say his name, and he appears. Playmaker. He says, "Hey, no credentials required." We were just talking about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and we referenced your show from yesterday. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for appearing in the comments section. We do appreciate it. So, like I said, I racked my brain trying to figure out a number 36 to pick. So I did a Google search for greatest athletes, greatest hockey players to wear the number 36. And I totally forgot about him, Matthew Barnaby. Barnes.
Oh, all right. Because I thought you were going to pick Jerome Bettis, and I was going to lose.
No, I'm not going to give you nightmares, because you already had enough from him winning that Super Bowl against the against your beloved Seattle Seahawks. Matthew Barnaby, 10th all time in penalty minutes, 2,562, in a career that spanned how many years? Lots of years.
Yeah, he was in the league forever.
Yeah, started his career in 1992 with the Buffalo Sabres, played until 2007 with the Dallas, finished his career at Dallas Stars. He played with the Buffalo Sabres, most notably known at first time with the Buffalo Sabres, a little bit with the Pittsburgh Penguins, Tampa Bay Lightning, New York Rangers, Colorado Avalanche, where he wore number 38, Chicago Blackhawks, and finishing his career with the Dallas Stars in 2007, wore number 77. Interestingly enough, but he played for 3 junior league teams in Quebec, born in Ottawa, Ontario in 1973. 300 career points in the NHL, but he was most known for being one of the biggest pests.
Yes.
In that era of that era of the NHL, where it was the offensive play wasn't as open, but he was that guy who just got under your skin every single game. He was Brad Marchand before Brad Marchand. He was basically Brad Marchand without the goals. He was that, but he was just that guy who just got under your skin. And he's got an autobiography, which I need to read. I got a bunch of books on my reading list, but I got to read his autobiography and about his career at the NHL. I'm sure he's got some stories, but I'm gonna have to get him. I'm gonna see. I know he's on social media, so hopefully I'll clip this and put it in my social media. But yeah, Matthew Barnaby, but he's most known for his years with the Buffalo Sabres. That's who drafted him. He was drafted by the Buffalo Sabres in 1992, was a 4th overall pick, but he played in those teams. Initially started with his head coach Ted Nolan, then went over to Lindy Ruff, and that's where he really got his start. It's where he really got his made his name. And he finished with a career high in 1997, finished with a career high of 19 goals, 24 assists, 43 points, had 249 penalty minutes that year. But most notably, I believe the Buffalo Sabres, that's when they started to become one of the teams you dreaded playing in the Eastern Conference in the playoffs, because not only were they very good defensefully, they had Dominic Hasek as your goaltender. I mean, come on. Dominic Hasek is your goaltender. Yeah, you're not going to win. You're not going to score many goals when you got Dominic Hasek in the nets. But they had Michael Pekka up front, Dominic Shatan, and Matthew Barnaby and Rob Ray. Like, those are the 2 guys who had. It's not so much you had to watch out for Michael Pekka, who was a future Edmonton Oiler, as you would know, very well, Dustin, because of his time with the 2006 Edmonton Oilers, in that playoff run. But it wasn't Pekka or Shatan that you had to watch out for. it was Rob Ray and Matthew Barnaby you had to watch out for on the ice, because either they would get under your skin so much they would draw a penalty, or they would fight you, or they would make sure that your best player was completely ineffective because they would get under, because they would draw a penalty on him, or they get under your skin so much that they would draw a penalty and Buffalo would capitalize. So Barnes is my favorite number 36.
That's a good pick, and it's a pick I was not expecting. And this is not to cheapen what Matthew did in the NHL in any way, but I must confess, Ryan, when you said Matthew Barnaby, the first word that came to my mind was agitator, because that's exactly what he was. That's exactly what he was. Yep. He wanted to get under the other team's skin so much, and he often would, and but he could also do some other things on the ice, as you mentioned. The year he finished with the 19 goals. That's nothing to sneeze at.
No, especially for a guy who was just always a pest on the ice. Now, here's the peculiar part. He was traded to Pittsburgh in 1999. So he was not a part of that Stanley Cup team that went to the Stanley Cup final and finished in Game 6 with arguably the most controversial goal in NHL history, with Brett Hull scoring that goal in Game 6 in double overtime, which to this day, Buffalo Sabres, the city of Buffalo, curse Brett Hull's name because of that goal, because they didn't think it would be disallowed, and it was allowed. Dallas Stars win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
but that was one of those guys you always kind of root, unless he was on the opposing side.
Oh yeah.
Like you rooted for him.
Yeah,
because he was. I mean, he was listed at 6'0", 189, but he was a little. You didn't see it on the ice. Like you didn't see his size on the ice. You thought it looked a little bit smaller, but yeah, that's my number 36. I couldn't think of one for the New Jersey Devils because I didn't want to do a homer alert. But like that's the guy I love. I enjoyed watching on the ice, unless he played for the Rangers. I will say that. But yeah, Matthew Barnaby, my favorite number 36.
I have been going heavy on the homer alerts lately, and guess what? Next 2 episodes, they will continue if the players that are in my mind currently stay there. And the worst kept secret in the world is my player for Saturday. So tune in if you want to figure out who that is.
Yeah, I might have a hard time with 36, 37, and all the way up to 40. So
I know some of these numbers we're getting tough. And then I get to 41. It's smooth sailing. 37, 38, pretty easy for me. But there's going to be some tough ones.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do some research on 37 through 39, but 40 I've got locked in. 40 I've already got locked in.
There you go.
So got one more comment in the comments section. Let's see here. Playmaker saying biggest Hurricane fan outside of Carolina. His Playmaker also appreciates the shout out. D saying Rob Ezel was the player that imitated Nick, and she said, yeah, it was a really good impression. Yeah, if you find that impression online, it's hysterical. And Nick Saban, all he can do is laugh. All you can do is laugh. And then the last comment of the night from Sick Dicky saying, I think the term is, quote, deceptively large, end quote. All right, we're going to get up on out of here. We've gone long enough. But before we do that, I just want to remind you to follow us on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Just search for No Credentials Required. Give us a follow on there. And also, make sure you check out our other podcasts and written articles on bellyupsports.com. On the podcast side, subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, and also our YouTube page. And also, don't forget to hit that notification bell on Twitter and on YouTube. That way you know when you have show announcements go up. You know when show announcements go up. You know when we go live. You know when we have video clips go up. You're tuned in. You got all that notifications. The replay of this show, or the video side, it'll be on the Belly Up Sports YouTube page tomorrow. So give them a subscription too. Give them a follow, and make sure if you want to watch the replay, watch it there. Also, don't forget, visit our link in the description for our Fanatics affiliate page. Rate, review, comment, 5-star rating, leave a review where you can on the podcast side, on the Spotify. You can also leave a comment if you're subscribed and you listen there. Also, leave a comment on the Belly Up Sports, on the replay on the Belly Up Sports YouTube page. Who's your favorite number 37? Is the media piling on with the Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark controversy? What do you think of the NFL sending their players to the Olympics? Also, what do you think about sport? Which sports franchise do you believe is the most cursed? Because we missed out on the Vikings, we missed out on the Canucks, we missed out on the Los Angeles Clippers. We missed out on a lot.
Yep. We had more in the text, but guess what, everybody? We could talk forever, but
could have.
We don't want to have Ryan have to do that much editing.
No, we don't. We don't. But thanks for tuning in to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. Don't forget, Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern. It's our show. It's our Saturday brunch Saturday show, our morning brunch show. It's kind of up in the air as to whether or not Kevin Wilson will be with us on Saturdays. But if he's going to be well with us, it's going to be a very short time for baseball. Also, don't forget, next Tuesday, we start our movie review series. Our first movie will be Draft Day, starring Kevin Costner. So watch the movie over the weekend if you can. Tune in on Tuesday. Leave comments. Leave live comments during the show. We'll be reviewing that movie, as well as talking about other sports that happened during Memorial Day weekend. But in the meantime, thanks for tuning in to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. We'll be back on Saturday morning. Tune in for the Saturday morning brunch, 10 a.m. Eastern. And also listen to the podcast afterward if you missed it. So thanks for joining us. Have a great week. We'll see you on Saturday.
Get your pancakes ready. Watch Draft Day with us. Good night, everybody.
Woo!